How's it? Sean from Combat Simulations. Welcome to my overview and tutorial for Decisive Campaigns, Barbarossa. So before we get started, please subscribe to my channel. It's free, and also leave comments and suggestions. And watch my videos. And like them and share them. Helps me a lot. I promise you, it really does. I mean, it really does. So what is Decisive Campaigns Barbarossa? It's the invasion of the Soviet Union by the Axis forces in 1941. It just covers the invasion, doesn't take into account the whole campaign right through to 45. It just covers that invasion. It's what makes it unique. What makes this game very unique is it's a simulation of operational command. This is what it's focused on. So you do have the normal counters and troops and divisions to move, all of that, but the main focus of this game is operational command. It's in fact it's the only game I've seen that deals with a war game that simulates command, operational command, the actual simulation of command. All right, I hope I'm explaining it properly. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play through a couple. I'm just gonna play through a turn of the game and just explain to all the aspects and what I'm actually talking about, because I don't think it's difficult to understand how they've put it into place. It's designed by VR Designs. Vic is the guy. This Vic, I can't pronounce his surname. He's the owner of this company, and then Cameron Harris is designer, and Vic, both of them. He was that guy that long time ago, man, 10, 20 years ago, he made People's General, or it was like a shareware program. I think he's from Switzerland, or Sweden, I'm not sure. But he made this great little shareware kind of game that he shared on the internet with where you could design your own order of battle and all this. It was a great little game. And he ran that for a number of years. Then he made Advanced Tactics. Anybody heard of Advanced Tactics Gold? Now that's basically that People's, I don't know if it was called People's General, but that was that People's thing on steroids. We extended it all. Very popular, great game, very brilliant ideas. And then he went into obviously the World War II. He's got 4 of these. He's got the first one was Decisive Campaigns from Warsaw to Paris, I think it was. I'm not sure. They needed Case Blue, Decisive Campaigns Case Blue. And now he's done the Barbarossa one, and he's also got the Ardennes one, which is the follow-up to this one. But of all his games, this one stands out. They all are very similar. All those games are very similar, and this one. But this one stands out because it's completely unique from all the others. It actually focuses on operational high level command. I'll explain to you as we play through it. You'll get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. It's very unique. I've never seen a game like this before, and I wish, and this is my honest wish, I wish that he would make more games like this. And forget about the Ardennes and all that with the little troops and whatever movement and whatever that's done. Forget about those detailed little moving pieces around it. Like War in the East, which got thousands of counters and it's very operational command focused. But the command of operations, how to explain it? The simulation of command at an operational level is not simulated in those games. It's very grand. Those games are very granular, but they don't simulate that. I wish all games were made like this. I wish they all would, and I wish he would extend this. But he doesn't seem to have an interest in doing it, so I'm not sure. But I wish they would. I know that's a bit of my rant and rave, but let me just give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, we'll just load up a game. And I've got a few save games that I want to load and show you, so you can get a better idea. Of the whole Second World War, the Japanese, the Desert Front, War in the East is my favorite theater. I love the War in the East. It's just something about the largest land battle fought ever the world has ever seen and is yet to see. I love war in the East. I love that invasion of Russia and that whole conflict. From beginning where the Germans were very strong and they took the Russians apart, and then slowly they became very equal. The Russians and the German Soviets, they were very equal in power, and then the Soviets took over. That was such a brilliant game. It supersedes the war in the West. It supersedes all of it. This is the actual of the Second World War. This is my favorite theater. Always has been. So I'm glad that I haven't got anything on my channel that actually plays through the War in the East. Now, I didn't want to play through War in the East too. It's too, at my age, I used to. Well, when I was younger, in my 20s, I would play War in the East. I would go and play it. I'd go and buy it, and I'd devour it, and I'd go through all the manuals. I'd read everything, and I wanted to know everything, the details. I used to sit till late at night. I mean, I was a real gonard at that age. I mean, I always loved this, and I loved the detail. The more detail you could give me, the more realistic it was. At my age now, I've changed. Or just show me where I need to point, where I need to shoot. Just show me where I need to blow stuff up. I'm not interested in all that detail, and I've tried to get interested in the War in the East 2 is too granular for me. It's 2 minutes. It's like a 500-page manual. I get through the first 3 pages and I'm tired. I want to go to lie down. You understand? Now this game is not Panzer General, and it's not War in the East 2. It's somewhere in the sweet middle, but it's where war games should be. There's the right parts that are abstracted. All the right things are abstracted. And all the things that are meaningful that need to be similar are simulated, and it's done right. It's done right. But yeah, I'll carry on. I'll explain it to you now. We'll go through it. Okay, so here you've got normal difficulties. This is the difficulty settings. I can set it to slow speed, which gives the AI more time. And then you've got a number of options like easy mode, tougher Soviets, plots off, decisions off, imperial. It's just, you can read them. They historical off, on or off. These are just options to play it. That you can also play it. I think the AI can play against the AI, and you can watch the AI play as well, which is also brilliant. I haven't played it like that, but these are just the settings you get. There's a nice replayability here. Okay, and then we'll just set it at I've just put on all the default. I've switched this off because the Geneva Convention is. You can't play the Geneva Convention in a game like this. The War in the East was a bun fight. It was a bar fight. It was a bare knuckle fight. You can't play the Geneva Convention there. If you want to simulate War in the East, Second World War, you've got to have no hands, no gloves off. You can't play the Geneva Convention. Now this makes the game like everybody play by the rules. Take this off. You can't simulate that war with that. It's a bare knuckle fight. All right, let's just load up the first turn. Now, the first turn you have and what's nice about this is you've also got videos. Nice videos. Let me just load one up so you can see nice video tutorials. And
now there's a link with truck columns.
Yeah, so it's just nice sort of way to explain it. I'll explain all these functions now, but I just want to go through the reps. These are the decisions you've got to make before you start. You can leave them alone and just leave them, but but they are decisions that important decisions where you're gonna. I'll just take Moscow or bust, and I'll decide that, and we'll just move on. These are the few things you make in the initial turn. You can't move anything around. Everybody is. You are holder. I mean, sorry, you are. That's from Bravik. You are holder. You're simulating holder. You're that person. I'm just gonna say end the turn so we can move on to the first turn, so I can go through everything. There's a few decisions you have to make initially. That before you start the game. And on the Soviets, you also have to. Same sort of thing. And this is really the start of the first turn. So it's weekly turns, or 4-day turns, and then it just gives you the directives. You can read all that, and it highlights what you need to do next. I'm going to explain all that to you. There's also a war diary. What it does is it takes an individual soldier and you follow that soldier through the war, just for immersion. You know, he can be put in any division. He's a normal private, and he can die, but you get diaries every now and then. What's he up to? What's he done? What's he seen in Russia? It's nice. All right, so sorry. Okay, so von Braubich, von Brau, uh, Brau, I can't pronounce his surname. He's in charge, right? And then you are Helder. This is you. You're the overall commander of the Eastern Front, of this Eastern assault, Eastern battle for Russia. You can also get each one of their diaries and what are their biographies and what they were. All right, so the game is like many parts. The first part is you are this guy, Helder. Now you make various decisions, and all the decisions are here. The first part of the decisions are there. They grow a bit more, and then you've got all your log things. You make decisions in the war that affect people around you, officers around you. You've got and let me explain this to you. Hitler is in charge. He's the Führer. He's the main in charge of everybody. Then you've got this guy over here, this Brauditch, or I can't pronounce his name. This FM guy. He's your command. He's your person in charge. He's in charge of you, and then you are there. Then you are in charge of all these theater commanders. Yeah. Sorry, there's a theater commander. This is, yeah, he's in run FM. I can't pronounce his surname. A lot of his surnames I'm going to mess up because I can't pronounce them. But there's this guy's in charge of Army Group South. Von Bock is in charge of Army Group Center, and Van Lib is in charge of Army Group North. And then you've got also Goering, and you've got the two guys that control the logistics side of the war, Gurkha and Wagner. Right now, your command is run by dealing with these people, and they have an opinion of you. If I can give you an idea, yeah. They have where's the camp? Friends and foes. They each, even Hitler has an opinion on you, and depending on their relationship with you, they will be cooperative or not cooperative. They will get like this guy will have the trains running on time. If his relationship is bad with you or it's not in a good state, the trains will run slower. The artillery meet your siege artillery, you need to move on the map between this place and that place will have delays. The tracks won't be maintained. So you the theater commanders, they won't give you now, just to give you an idea, they won't give you focus like they won't allow you to focus. They won't focus their energies on certain armies within that group. Within Army Group North, there are armies in there and panzer groups in there, and they won't. You'll want, because when you focus on a panzer group, you want to play this Army Group North, and then you can focus on an HQ. What it does is it gives those armies or those groups extra attack strength. Like this. Let me just. I hope I'm explaining. I don't know if I'm explaining. This 50% attack and 25% defense. That's the Blitzkrieg posture. But you can add to those postures by being focused on them. And if you're not in good standing with these guys, they won't do that for you. So they will interact with you, help you, or not help you, depending on your relationship with them. Goering's the same. He won't get you won't be able to focus the planes, or he won't move the planes for you. Hitler won't give you points. Now, there's political points. Now the game runs on political points. So everything you do in the game costs political points. All your movement of armies, your focus of your decisions, your all these cards, which the postures, the Luftwaffe, these cards that you play to enhance your army, cost more depending on your relationship with Hitler, or cost less depending on that first decision I made, where I made this directive, and I chose Moscow or bust. Now I could have been. There are three options. You can choose Moscow. You can choose to be friendly with Hitler and go make your objective whatever he comes up with. You can choose Moscow or bust and ignore him, or you can choose your own objective and ignore him completely. Now, depending on what you choose, it depends on how many points you get and whether he's willing to cooperate with you. His priority is Lenin. His last priority is Moscow. I chose Moscow, so I got less points from him. It wasn't as bad as if I had chosen the last option. But the options give you flexibility. So if you choose the last, you can choose your own objective. You don't need to worry about Hitler, because every month up until November, I think, he has a conference where he changes these. We decide that he interferes and he changes these. And if you picked the first option, which go with Hitler, which you get the most points, he likes you the most, you have to change your objective depending on him, on his objectives. But all the other options move away from that. I chose Moscow bus, which means I ignore Hitler. I'm going to take my own route, and Hitler. Then I get less points. And every move you make towards, because it's not Leningrad, because it's not. I haven't chosen that option. Every advance towards us and every decision to the other sectors, I lose favor with Hitler. I hope I'm explaining this. This is a really neat, complicated, not complicated, but a really neat design to simulate operational command. And he's done it in a really, really good way. For example, your Panzer, these guys you need to be friends with, but you can't be friends with everybody. You understand? You've got to pick your friends and pick your enemies, because you're always going to piss somebody off in the system. And it could be the guy that runs the trains. Look, he's poor. He's poor at the moment because I'm starting off with a relationship like him. When I started the game, I have a standing set of relationships with these guys. I've known them. I was in Paris and I fought in France with them, and they kind of know me and they have a standing relationship with me. And it's different every time. It gets simulated, randomized every time to a degree. But anyway, the command is like, I've got a poor relationship with him. Now, a lot of the decisions you make will piss him off but make him happy. But if the decision, I will make him happy and then it'll piss him off. So there's this interesting dynamic between these guys, and you need these guys. You need them. You can't fight the war without them. You need the trains to run on time. You need the maintenance of the trains to be taken care of, and the guys to build the rail in Russia, because it's on a different gauge to the German gauge. You need those guys, and this comes from this train guy. And if you're pissed off with him, there's delays in that. It'll take twice as long. The political points will be double to get this guy on board. You need him because your whole campaign is going to be stopped. But you need the truck guy too, and you need the airplane guy. This Goring. You need this guy. And you need the theatre commanders to like you and be on board with you, because if you can't focus your cards on them. You can't focus because this adds about 20%. If you focus on I wish I could show you. I might be able to. I think I can show you on one of my playthroughs. Focusing on this is, you ask the Army Group North. That's Von Bock. You ask him to focus on an army or a panzer group to focus his attention on that. And you play that card, and it focuses your attention on that, right? Now that card gets over and above the Blitzkrieg. Let me go there. The Blitzkrieg. There it is. There. That's the Blitzkrieg. That's 50%. Over and above that, you get modifiers. Now, if your relationship is shit with this guy, you can't focus your cards on there, and you need that because it gives you AP. So you're running this gauntlet between you. You need to make friends with Brabridge or whatever, but FM guy. You need this guy because he's the intervening guy with you and Hitler. In fact, if you decided to take the option that I will choose my own directive, no, not take Hitler's, not Moscow. I will decide where I want to go. This guy's key because he's the guy that's close to Hitler, and you need him on your side because Hitler will fire you, and if he fires you, he's got to come through from Brabridge. I'm destroying these names. So you need these guys. You need the Luftwaffe. You need these guys, and these guys get asked decisions to make. Like for example, let's talk about that. It gives you a nice big long speech, and it tells you what Goering feels about this. It tells you what von Braun feels about it. It gives you information on that. It gives you help on the Now, here, their relationships, depending on what you choose, and the cost of each one is different. So if I'm just taking this as an example. This is on the first turn. The Luftwaffe is involved in destroying all the airfields. You know that the Germans did this in the first week or so. They just concentrated all the airfields and they switched to ground assault, close air support. Now this is just asking you whether you want to extend that blowing up the planes and the command and control, or do you want to cancel it now because that turn's happened, so you can switch the Luftwaffe onto close air support. That's all this is. Now with this, when you maintain the offensive, you cancel the air offensive. That means that's finished and the Luftwaffe switches over to army and close support. But you can maintain this first day offensive, make it 8 days, 12 days. Now, depending on how these guys feel about it, they will be swayed. They maybe don't like that thing. They're against that and all this type of shit. So you will lose favor with them, and that works out in terms. Let me just give you. I know I'm harping about this. I just want to see friends or where's the thing here? Okay. Friends and foes. Now that affects his. So those decisions and the stuff you make with those decisions, how you play your armies and stuff, affects everybody around you because everybody has their own agendas. So, for example, okay, Joseph Goebbels, who's the Ministry of... There's more guys in the thing besides these guys. You got Goebbels, you got Yodel. These are other guys that affect other areas, but you make decisions with them, and they're standing with you determines what you can do and what you can't do. So, for example, Joseph Goebbels, the Ministry of Propaganda, has a moderate bias of one against you due to your pointed remarks over his affair with Czech actress Linda, whatever. You start the campaign with a relationship level of -13. Now, this is now a difficult guy to deal with because you can't get things out of him. You can't get him to support the campaign. I haven't played it that I what his effect on this is, but you can bet he's got an effect on the battle, on the actual campaign. Theater like Keitel is also von Bock, Wagner. Wagner's you've got a 9 which is neutral, so he doesn't care where. What I'm trying to say is each of these guys, plus Keitel, Yodel, Goebbels, which is also in here, each of those characters and each of these characters have an effect on your decisions that you make. And your decisions are over here. These are all the decisions. And every turn you get decisions that you can make, which you can choose from. And your first decision you can choose from, which affect what you can do in the game. In this game. And it's simulated realistically. It's simulated realistically. You need to make friends with these guys, and you need to keep your enemies as well. You need to try and this guy and this guy, you can't make him happy without him being sad. So it's a constant tension, and you need these guys. You need each one of these, because you can't effectively use your infantry and your troops properly, and there are limitations to what you can do. Hitler, depending on Hitler's level of animosity towards you, he can slow down your divisions. It happens that he will come in and he'll put a negative, like you see these guys, we've got positive modifiers of 60 because they got blitzkrieg standing. He will randomly come if your relationship is bad with him and modify these statistics. He might give you a minus 60 attack bonus and a minus 40 defensive bonus. This affects your panzer group. Now, because his relationship is bad with you, you'll pick an arbitrary division. I hope you're understanding how the game, the most important part of the game, the game simulates this. Yes, you've got your troops moving around. Yes, you've got the guys with their statistics. This is all 100% historical. You've got their capabilities, which I'll show you now, and all their details, and you've got all the historical divisions were simulated, right? You've got all this, but this isn't the game. This isn't the game. This is the game, yes, because you've got to fight and cut off them, and you learn how to go up the rail tracks and whatever, and make sure your supply. It's all there. It's all there, but it's not the game. You understand? Because without these guys, this is not going to happen. Let me give you an idea. This conquest of Russia is not going to happen without these guys. You need people. And that's what they've simulated. That's what Victor's simulated. And I'll say this again. I pray to God he makes another one like this, because he's hit the sweet spot. I've never seen any game ever like this. His other games weren't like this. They had a little bit of this, the Case Blue had little bits of this, but it was mainly just a tactical war game like War in the East 2 and stuff like that. It was that type of game. This is what we want to see simulated. This is the sweet spot. This is the realistic. He puts you in the shoes of this guy over here. Let me just get this guy, this older guy. You are this guy. In between, you're the sandwich. All right. Now, you can do nothing with these guys, and you've got to score as well, or with Stalin as well. And you can do nothing with these guys. Nothing without their help. You will not win this game, and it's true to life, because it reflects what actually happened. This is what war games should do. You see the traditional war games, and I love them too. I like the War in the East and all that. It's granular, and you feel like you're in charge of the world, and the more granular, the better. That whole thing, and I'm really like. The fact is, they're not realistic in terms of the game. They simulate one part of it. One part of it. Not the most important part is these guys. These guys. Because they run the show. They run the operation. These guys run the war. Not these guys that are on the ground shooting and fighting. You understand? And too many war games today go into this type. They go in here, and then it's just moving counters around and tactics and whatever, without taking into effect the operational problems of doing all this, of combining all and coordinating all this. They don't simulate the war properly. And I'll say it myself, even though I love them, they war gamers games. They're games for war gamers. This is I must admit, the first time I've seen this in a war game, and I don't think any war game has simulated this. Not even any game. This is the only game that simulated this. And it simulates the right things. Now, what have they done with I could go on with this for a long time. I mean, I could go on forever on this and explain to you how important this is and what's simulated here. But this is the game. This part is the game. This isn't the game. Moving the troops around. Yeah, it's part of the game, but this is the game. This is what he simulated, and he's done it sweet. Sweet. Playable. All right, so that part of the game is done. Now, I just wanted to tell you that the Russians, when you play as the Russians, you're Stalin. You're not the holder. You're not in an organization. You're on top of the organization. Now, how they've stimulated that, and they've done it well, Stalin is a threat rating, like a psychological rating or some sort. Now, as his commanders underneath him, you can't replace and fire people on the German side, but you can replace and fire people on Stalin's side. Now, what they've done is they've got a psychological and initiative rating for all the commanders. The initiative rating in fact, you know what? Let me just show that to you, so that I just want to get this part quickly so you can see what that is. How different. I've covered the operational side of the German side, right? Now we'll just do the Soviet side so you can just have a look. Yeah, I'll just run it like that. I'll just take it. Okay, let's just run it as a Soviet side so I can explain to you how that, just to get the brief idea of how the Soviets different, very, very different. There you don't answer to anybody because you're in charge of everyone. Fascinating to play the Soviets, must be. Okay, I just want to pick I think you're gonna save Moscow. Let's just side that, and I know I'm deferring this. If you make Soviets have less decisions, but their decisions are worth more. They count more. All right, if I can explain it to you. I've got only one decision there. I'll just play it so you can say yes and you can get through. So you can just get an idea. I know I'm carrying on a lot about this because I wanted to see I don't have a Soviet one loaded. All right, I'm going to pause the game until it's finished with all this movement. Okay, so yeah, I just need to run it through that combat part of it, because that when you end the turn that happens. It can take quite a while, not too long, but it takes too long for this video. Okay, so basically the Soviets also have these guys that you look, but your relationship, because you're in charge of the whole Russia, you don't have anybody to answer to. So your relationships with these guys, they listen to you, right? But paranoia, and these are your troubleshooters. Now your guys listen to you. You can fire and hire them. You can shoot them if you want to. But his paranoia level, you see there, the threats are -9, -12. That's good. That lowers his paranoia level. But they're not great commanders. You see their initiatives. They're not great commanders. Now, the great commanders are sitting in the gulag camps, right? So you can fire this guy, shoot him, and a commander. Now you get various types of commanders. You get, I can't remember the names, but they're various types. These are toadies and whatever. They're various types of commanders, got different traits. But your good commanders sit in gulag. Now you can hire your good commanders. And if you shoot him, sorry, I'm repeating myself. If you shoot this guy, you'll get a new commander. He could be a normal commander. He could be a great commander. His initiative rating will be very high, but his threat rating as well will be very high, which means it'll affect Stalin's paranoia. Now, Stalin didn't want anybody that was better than him. So there's a balance here. Your commanders with low threat ratings are shit commanders, right? But your better commanders have very high threat ratings, but they affect Stalin, his paranoia. And if it gets too high, he has about fits. He has a fit, and if bouts of paranoia, you can lose all your power, your political points. All bad things start to happen to you. You can lose activation of this command. He can shoot people or randomly, right? That's what it gets. So You have a balance. Now, this guy, I'm going to talk about Zhukov now, but this guy, Krishnov, he's a troubleshooter. He helps you with that. You send these guys, these troubleshooters, to HQs, and they help. This guy helps you with the paranoia. He lowers the paranoia of these guys, the threat level of these guys. So you can have a good commander. He's got a high threat level. You send him there, and he has a talk to. It's done via cards. You understand? And he will have a talk with him with lower his threat level. You understand? He's used mainly for that. Zhukov is used mainly to get the guys, because the Soviets have activations. And in the first turn or so, they have shit activations. They have low probability of being able to move. Some of these guys, you can't even get a report from them. I think this is it. Report the state. Okay, you can get a report from him. But some of these guys you can't get reports from, and they can't move. They're frozen because of their activation. They're poor troops. Now he helps with their activations. He increases the combat statistics of the guys around there, which you need. But he can only go to one front at a time. Okay, so and then you've got this northern reinforcement. These are reinforcements. So that's Stalin's, the Russians. Very different approach. Very different approach. All right, I'm going to switch back to the German one now. I'm just going to pause the game and switch back to that so we can get back to that one there. Okay, so we're back. We're just back. Just to give you an idea of how the Soviet is a very different experience. The Soviets, their decisions are way less than the Germans, but they matter more. They're bigger decisions and they matter more. The Germans have lots of decisions but matter less. Not to say they don't matter, just because you've got to deal with all these personalities. And every turn you get to make, like the Hitler oath, you have to make a decision. Take the oath or more. Now, depending on what you decide here, and each one of these guys you get the each one of the guys that is relevant to that decision has an opinion about it. And if you don't pick the opinion he liked, you lose favor with that guy, which means you go into bad relationships. So it's juggling balls, but you can't manage to keep them all in the air. Juggling, someone's going to drop, and it's going to affect. So either you're going to have. So as you see, look here. I started because I started again. And I didn't save that first part where we were in. I started again. So it starts with a random. So now he's poor. Now I won't be able to focus. I won't be able to give him a focus on a Panzergruppe, which you need because they need the speed and all that type of stuff. Because I've got a poor relationship. So I've got to build up his relationship or his trust. This is now Van Bock. Okay, so if you see here, that's Goebbels. You see all these guys, Himmler, because when you play with the Geneva Convention off, Himmler comes with these Einsatzgruppen guys. You know those guys that used to shoot people in the towns behind as the army advanced, they would go into the towns and shoot Jews and stuff like that. All these crazy things they used to do. He's in charge of that. Now you get decisions about him. Where do you stand? Will you cooperate with him? And this costs political points, and it affects these guys' relationships because some of these guys are anti-Nazi and some aren't. And this affects your war crime, how you're rated at the end of the game in terms of war crimes, because it comes to the end of the game, you go to a war crime place, what they did in the Second World War, and you have to now justify what you did. And this, wherever you pick, affects all of these guys. And each of these guys is either a Nazi. They've got. I just wanted to get to Bock. Yeah, you see, he has a strong bias against you for not supporting him when he's confronted with Führer over the need to capture Moscow. So poor relationship with Von Bock, which means I can't focus on his Panzergruppe. He will refuse that. So I'm stuck now because I got now one of his panzer group, he's got 2 panzer groups in his area, and I can't focus on any of them. I'm not allowed to because I have a poor relationship with him. So I've got to, with decisions and stuff, improve my relationship with him so I can get these panzer grouper focused. I can focus on them. So there's a dynamic. Welcome to the art of operational command simulated. Really, really good. I wish wargames would do this. I think I covered that part of it properly. I'm not going to go through everything, but you get my idea of what is needed with these guys. Where your relationships. You can do nothing without these guys' support. Nothing. Your army is just useless, and I like that part of it because other wargames just simulate you moving your troops around, and they're not worried about this. War is we live in a human world. We don't live in a computerized push your guy here and push your guy there world. We live in a human world. Everything in this world, everything in life is about relationships with people. We all don't live in a vacuum. These relationships we have with people to do our bidding and to answer to Hitler and to give commands to that is all based on their agendas and what they perceive as important to them, and does it fit in with you? And that's life. That's life. And war is life. It's life at the end of the day. So this is, I don't want to swear, but freaking important in war games. The simulated part. Hats off to Vic. He hasn't made any more like this. I think he's, he's made no war games any more like this. He's made none of these. Not anything like this. Not even his allied generals has he used these guys to such an extent. Has he simulated this? I wish all war games would take a leaf from this and go play this game and realize that this is where you need to come. This is where you need to. Not in the troops here. Yes, you need to simulate this properly and the command and control and fighting and whatever and that. Yes, that needs to be done. But that's a given. That's a given with any war game. This needs to be simulated. This needs to be the most important thing in a war game. Most important thing. Because we are relationship beings. We deal with relationships, and war is about relationships. It's not about moving units around. And wargamers don't understand that. I think because they live in a vacuum. I think. So it's the first game. I hope that he extends this game. I hope he makes more like this and makes only games like this, because he has taken the human element into it and it's simulated well. I tell you what, you could do nothing without these guys. Anyway, I think I've covered that part of it. You get I know I didn't go through everything and all the little briefs and stats and OBs. I know that. I'm going to cover that now. But I hope that I needed to explain that part to you so you can understand that this is the most important thing you're simulating. Not the troops. They have all the capabilities. They do fight and whatever. And you want to surround like any war game. But this is what will win you the game. This is the most important thing. And it's simulated completely. He hasn't left a turn unstoned, unshot. Okay, so let's just look in terms of the armies, the troops you have. You've got your This is Holder. This is us. We've got your 3 army groups, center, north. Each one of them has a HQ under them, like the 17th Army, and there's all the troops. He hasn't gone down to the core level. It's not needed to be simulated here. He hasn't got cores. It's just army headquarters and their divisions underneath them. That's it. They've tried it. He said this in his overview, in his design decisions on the manual. You must read that. It's almost half the manual. Well, not half, but it's a sizable portion of the design notes, where he said he wanted to have a minimum amount of units on the field. We don't want to have thousands of units and all brigades and commands and divisions and brigades and regiments and like in War in the East, 2,000 counters. You don't want that. You can abstract that. You need to get the core part of a fight, of a war, of a campaign. You can abstract that. Nobody wants to sit down spend an hour moving and wait for an hour for the computer to turn. That's why I stayed away from war in the East too. As a child, when I was younger, I used to like those sort of things, but I moved away from that because it's not pleasant unless you're a mad World War II Gonard person. It's nothing. We can't play that. It's not even playable. 500 rand page manual. You can simulate that. So what he said was he wanted to have as minimal units as possible, but not sacrifice historical accuracy. He had the core historical units there, but he wanted to streamline the process. So there's a minimum of units. I say well done. And he's done that. Now that's the troops. He got the minimum amounts you need. Now how the air campaign works is it's abstracted. Brilliantly, and it's done with cards. You've got your, let me just take this off here. You've got your you see, you've got your airfields, and there's various airfields along the way here, and it's made via decisions and cards. Your airfield is on, at the moment, destroying all the aeroplanes on the ground. You can switch your airfields to ground attack. Now, the combat has incorporated the provision. In the combat, he incorporated the close air support already in there. But with your Luftwaffe, all you have to worry about is moving the airfields closer to the HQs, because the airfield, the air power, each theater has air power, Luftwaffe group associated with it. So they have those airfields that airfield has to be close enough to the HQs to be able to support it, within 10 hexes, I think. Now, your decisions with Goering and the Luftwaffe is to decide when to stop the initial attacking all the aeroplane on the ground and switch to air, which you can do. Then you've got cards for the airfield, but I don't think he has any here, where you can make airdrops. You can make an emergency fuel drop, which you'll need. But you've got air cards where you focus on a group, on a panzer group, or an infantry group, or an infantry division, army, or panzer army, where you can select to focus the air. So even though everybody has got inherently inbuilt air power, you can also pick, which comes with cards, your air power will be focused on, say, maybe the 16th or the 18th army. You pick it in a theater, and then that gets added into your statistics here. I hope I've explained it. That's how the airfield works. That's it. That's all you need. That's how it works. The airfield is big. It's abstracted. We know. We don't need to. Let me tell you something now. We don't need to granularly simulate World War II fighting. We know how it works. We know what the results were of everything. We can abstract it. You know, all these guys that want to simulate the ground combat and the air war down to the planes and the fighters and whatever, and then play it out and all that. We don't need to do that. It just adds to the complexity of the game. We don't need to. Why don't we need to? Because we know what happened. We know what happened. We know how the combat worked for the air war in the World War II. We know how it worked. So we don't need to simulate it. We can abstract it. We can give, but we can also, but what we can do is we can give operational, tactical decisions of where to place the airfield, where to place the air power, and all that sort of. That's all we know. We know how it worked. We can simulate abstractly how the war in the East worked. We don't need the granular part. Are you with me? You with me? You understand? Because you can go with the granular part and it ends up with the same result as abstracting it. Are you getting my idea here? So now what that does is takes away the micromanagement burden of the player. All right, that's the one part that's been simulated. That part of the air, which is great. Let me just move all the units. How else is done it? The map is divided into theaters. Same with the Soviets. You've got the North Army Group Center, and Army Group South. And you see these red lines here. These are the theaters. The Army Group's North troops are not allowed to cross into Army Group South theatre. They are allowed. Sorry, my mistake. You're allowed to, these divisions that belong in the North, they're earmarked for the North. They are allowed to cross, but they have huge combat penalties when they do. When they do. So what this does is, what he's done, and what I explained it, in war games you usually get a whole big morass of units and armies, and you can send them wherever, and you need to like find out how you go. So what he's done, what he's done is he's made this game into three little mini games that you can comprehend, because you now fight your battle on the northern side, this whole northern side, with these little amounts of units, and you allocate tactical cards to this theater. This theater is self-contained, so you have a game in there just with how many units now? Not many, right? And you have another theater here, and this is a game within that theater. You can't move across to other theaters, you'll get bad penalties. And you have another game, so it breaks the complexity of the game down to just managing small, divide and conquer, managing small parts. Brilliant, innovative. Who would have thought of this? Hey, people just overlook this part of it. Yeah, no, we want to still fight, play more in these two. It's great. We can push all the. Yeah, people don't see this. Don't see this. So the game becomes very manageable, because you only have to worry about this part, these pieces in here, and these pieces in there, and these pieces. So you've broken the game down. You've made all the logistics for each theater is self-contained for that theater. You've got your pipelines for this theater, your logistics for this theater. You've got your and all the reports of a theater. Now you can move the panzer group, you can move the infantry units over here into this theater, but it's going to hit you with heavy penalties. But you can request for panzergruppe. Now these are what they call the fast divisions. The north has one panzergruppe, the center has two, and if you give you an idea, there's the panzergruppe. North has one, south has two, and then south has one, north has one, and the center has two panzergruppe. These are fast divisions. They move at a speed. They're faster than your infantry divisions, because in the Second World War, it was really a walking armies. They still had walking armies. There was a cart-driven walking army. There wasn't a mechanized, motorized army like we have today with modern wars. It's a walking. They walk with their feet. So they could only spare a certain amount of trucks and stuff for smaller groups of armies. They couldn't commit everything, all their trucks to this, because this would be hundreds of thousands. So they've got panzergruppes, which is made up of tanks and motorized infantry. Those are your fast divisions. Those move faster. So you want to focus on them, because they are the tip of the spear. They're the ones that drive in and circle around, and the infantry cleans up as you go along. So each theater has its own logistical system, and it's reported in there. If you look at the daily log for AGN, it tells you everything to do with it. The fuel that was used, how much fuel was used, how much is left, the log for the center, its own trucks, its own fuel requirement, fuel supplies, and its own supplies. So it breaks the game into three mini little games with very few counters to move around. Hey, have you thought of this? Now you can request a panzergruppe from north, this one from north, to move over to this side if you want to. But you have to request via card to Hitler, I think. And then if he accepts it, you can then move your panzergruppe in here without any penalties. But you're still using your fuel from here. If I'm not mistaken, that's how it works. You're still using your fuel from the north. Are you with me? I hope I'm covering the mechanics around that. Now, I'm just trying to think of anything else. Now, your OOBs are represented. Obviously, you've got You've got your HQs. You can look at where every guy is and where he is. There's on your HQ your stats. Now your stats. This game has got stats of every conceivable thing, like your trucks, T-34s, your regime stacks, the track regime stats, your truck columns. So every stat is taken to account here. Every stat, right, that you can think of. He's counted for everything. All right, only shows city HQs and stuff like that. So you want stats, you got it here. You got the brief. These also the reinforcements. The Germans received reinforcements, lots of them during the war, during this period, and they also got groups sent away. They were also received, and there were also groups that were, there were also groups that were taken away. So they were reinforced and removed, and the reinforcements for the Soviets as well. And then the config that you have. There's your political points. Each theater has an allotment of fuel. There you can see your fuel. And if I click on this north, you'll see it's 6,000. If I click on south, you see it's 15K. You can affect that via decisions. You can ask for more fuel. You can ask for more fuel for the south. There are certain decisions. There's lots and lots of decisions you can make. You don't have to, and what I love about this game is you don't have to make these decisions. They're there, but you can leave them. If you leave them, your staff are your. Okay, well, I made that by mistake. Sorry, I exploit oil fields. But there's this decision. If you leave them, your staff officer, who's your junior officer, will make those decisions for you. But he's not as capable as you. He will sometimes make bad decisions because he gets a dime. Or when he starts the game, it's random. There's a lot of things he's not good at. He's not good at making decisions like you. So he will apply. You will have penalties to the decisions he make, and he'll make them for you. So you can leave them up to him, but I wouldn't. You can select do nothing, which means your staff officer will decide on that, and then if you leave the decision completely, he will also make a decision for you, but with penalties because he's not as good as you. I hope I'm getting that through to you. So you're gonna watch all that, right? What else can I say? Logistics. Let me just explain to you how they've done the logistics. Also, very, very good. You've got your main base. This never moves, and it's not got trucks now. I think I'll show you one where I'm playing. Let me just load up see if I can I load here. No. Let me just load up a game that I've played. I think it's got trucks on it. I'm not sure if I've gone that far in the game. Let me load a save game. This is a turn I've played. I'm in the second turn. You can see how I've done in this thing. And I've done all the decisions as well. The tactical side, there's not much to it. It's very, very simple and intuitive. Okay, you can see that I've advanced up here. Let me just... I hate NATO symbols. I like them with tanks because I like them shown like this because you can see what a tank is. Don't don't ask me to get this. I'm not interested in NATO symbols. They're so archaic. I like the things like it. I've switched it. You see, so like for example, if I go in, this is how it defaults to, right? You can see all the units. And you can see them, but you can't really see what you can see because you can see a units in here, but you can't. It doesn't tell you at a glance what's all there. I love it if you have this on. Then it shows you individually what every troop is, and it's like this. Okay, so let me just look at the fuel. I don't know if I've gone that far. No, I haven't. Okay, I've got to still move it. Each theater has a fuel dump, starting dump, the place where the fuel comes out of there and supplies. Then there's a forward, when it comes in a. Let me just see if there's if it's asked me to. No, it hasn't. Rail infrastructure, security, propaganda, film, Russian oil. Okay, no, there's nothing. When you're playing the game, as you move forward, it'll ask you to move the forward depot forward. So the forward depot, this is not the forward depot and the railway station is there in one. So you choose in the beginning of the game which route you want to take. So I've chose this in the beginning, this route. So what will happen is the forward control base moves with you, and it moves as you advance through Russia. You move your forward depot base. This stays the same, right? Now your forward depot. Now the trains. You'll see train icons when it happens. I haven't been asked for it to happen. Your trains will move the stock, the fuel, and the supplies up to your forward main base, and the forward main base will use trucks to distribute it to all the HQs. Okay, that's how the supply works. Let me just put the and there's as you can see, green is good where all the supplies getting in all these places. That's how that works. But it's not so simple as that, because your trucks can only move 10 hexes. They've got a range of 10 hexes. When they start, if it's longer than 10 hexes, they start to break down more. Breakdowns and maintenance. You have all this breaking downs of trains and stuff like that. And then the amount of trucks that are needed to do this starts to get less and less until you don't have enough trucks to distribute your supplies. So you want to keep the forward main base within 10 hexes of the HQs. You can get further, but the trucks will break down more. Let me just switch this back on here. Okay, the trucks will then break down more. So that's the supply, and that's all there is to it. However, where there's okay, let me just see where there are logistics. Each theater has logistics, which it measures the trains. It tells you how many trains you have and how many have gone out and how many require maintenance. And these little things are brilliant because they like little tooltips. And how much you need and how much you have and how much is getting through to the troops. That's the fuel. I wanted to see where truck columns. Right. Rail capacity and truck columns. For example, the truck columns, it measures it in maintenance, losses, permanent, and infantry needs trucks as well to get around. So you start off with these truck columns, and the available truck columns decrease as they get distance penalties and route difficulties and whatever, and you lose trucks. And they have to be replaced. That's where the maintenance comes in. So you've got to watch these trucks. The route difficulty is like distance penalty. The further the truck travels, the more that penalty becomes, because then it becomes, you're delivering more fuel than the truck is using itself. So that calculates that. The route penalty is where's your HQs. If your HQs are on roads and tracks and stuff, then it's not so difficult. But if he's sitting here in the Bundus, in marsh territory, and that's the HQ sitting there, it determines the difficulty of getting the trucks there. So then your maintenance level gets very high, and eventually becomes diminishing returns, because I hope you're understanding all this. You understand. I'm trying to explain to you what's involved in the trucks and the maintenance and the trains. Now that's a whole different field in itself. Each theater, I think I mentioned it, gets a fuel allocation. You can see it on the top there. I think I did mention that. And you have to use that fuel for your fast columns, the guys that use trucks. If you run out of the fuel, can't move. Now, there's decisions that you can make where you can borrow fuel and you can get fuel from the Luftwaffe, but it costs points. It costs this. And every decision you have, if a decision comes up, it'll give you 2 points only for each decision. You'll get that. But that's it. Then you've got to make those decisions with your points. And you need political points. So every decision is costing political points. And it's pissing somebody off, who's not going to help you with the delivery of the trains, with the fuel. So you've got to make friends with all these guys, because they're going to delay everything. I think that's I think that's look in simplified. I've simplified it for you there. I've said it in a very simplified way, so that you understand it. Obviously, it's a little more detailed than that, but I'm not. It's not the purpose on this tutorial to go through that or this overview. That's the crux of how the supply works. All your reports on all your armies and all what they need and all is all here. You've got reports coming out of your ass, your friends and foes, your subordinates reports, their bonus, because they've got a bias with you. There's a chance of an AP bonus. Philip's okay. He's got Philip Army Group North Ostfront. His relationship is good. He starts with a good. I have a chance at an AP bonus. I've got a 1% chance at an AP bonus. The AP is movement points, action points. So you're depending on my relationships with him, this AP bonus, and if it's in the negative, I get a negative AP bonus. So my troops are not going to move fast enough. They're not going to move if my relationship's bad with him. Do you understand that relationships are what this world is about, and that affects everything? And he's intertwined it with everything in this. And clears the guys like sideways to you. And then superiors, Hitler's superiors, his traits. Every guy has traits. They're either Nazis or they anti-Nazis or they've got traits. They toadies and whatever. They've got different traits that affect their relationships with you. So the game. There's a whole game was just the relationships and keeping everybody happy because you need them. You need these guys. I've already shown you that if your relationship is poor with Van Bock, this will affect all your movement penalties. Your troops won't move fast enough. He gives a 14% movement bonus to your troops because your relationship is good with him. If it's shit, you don't get it. And you get penalties, combat penalties, if the relationships are bad. Hitler doesn't like you, he'll pick an arbitrary division and he'll drop all the relationship, all the attack bonuses. These guys directly interfere. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. These guys directly influence how these troops move, fight. Their morale level, everything is based on your relationships. And then, of course, when you're in combat, you're going to lose morale and get taken and whatever. So you've got to have all these relationships with the armies, the Luftwaffe, the troops, all affect directly in the game, not just arbitrary like relationships out there. They directly affect how you move and fight with your troops, how much morale they have, or their readiness levels. You can't win the war without these guys. This game is about these guys. I know I'm harping about it. I don't think anybody's harping so much because there's a video I watched. I don't have it I won't leave it in a link because I can't. It was a while ago on this game where there was a historian from university, a doctor. It was one of the American universities, and he analyzed this game. He's not a game. He hasn't got a game channel. He's got and he said that this was the most realistic simulation. All the facts of why this game is the best on the market. Why it's such a good game. And he said the game is very realistic the way they've done the relationships. I mean, it's just opinion from him, but this is from a guy that doesn't play games, war games and stuff, and how he appreciated this. And I see what he sees. I'm sorry, I see what he sees. Okay, so, yeah, I know I'm harping on about that, but it's so important. Okay, these guys, all your troops, let me just get to the tactical side of it. All your troops are measured. This is the AP, that's action points, movement points, your supply consumption, the supplies are they getting through, your integrity is just how many troops as to the official order of battle, what your actual troops left. So if he's got like 4,000 troops, but his table of organization says 5,000, that's the integrity. I hope I'm explaining. Then the readiness, when they move and they fight. Their readiness drops, and your supply restores your readiness. All right. Also your morale. The experience level, they get experience as they fight and move, which helps them in their combat. Their morale level and their entrenchment. That's all you have to worry about, their troops. And with this game as well, what's brilliantly modified, these guys are mortarized, and with all the games, they're mortarized. They got trucks, right? But if they lose too many trucks, this symbol changed to foot. They are now walking around, not with it. They lose their movement bonus for having trucks, and the truck details are all factored in here. And with this, it's got 1,000 trucks. If it drops below a certain level, these guys all walk. They don't travel by the train, and you've got to wait for reinforcements to build up their truck levels. This is how realistic the game is. It factors in the losses of the trucks. Artillery. Okay. This is something I was almost going to forget I was going to mention. Artillery is also simulated in the game. Airfare, aeroplanes, and artillery. Divisional artillery is considered inherent in the combat statistics of a unit. The divisional artillery. Theater artillery, you get by ordering cards. You've got the artillery for the Army Group North, and you've got counter battery for Army Group North. This affects your attack statistics, and the counter battery for Army Group North affects your defensive statistics. These things over here, attack and defense. So if you can, just like the planes, you can give a card. You can support. I'm going to pick the AGN. Well, I already have support of them. I think it's this one here. I don't know if it's going to tell me now. What's there? Oh, I haven't given them now. But that affects these statistics. Now you can, with just like you can with the focus cards. I just want to get back to the focus cards. These cards where you put a focus on a panzer group, you do the same with artillery. You focus attack, you play the card, and you pick artillery army, not a panzer grouper, because they can't keep up. The theater artillery can't keep up with the panzer grouper. You can focus on a division, or you can focus on an HQ. You can give your theater artillery all to one division. That means it's got huge. Or you can spread it around. You can give it an HQ, and then it affects all those. It directly affects these statistics here. So these are the statistics you're looking at all the time. So theater, you give to your infantry and your HQs, infantry HQs. Support focus, command focus, you give to your panzer groupers. You understand? You can also give command focus to you can also give it to an HQ, an army HQ, not just to I've given to a panzer grouper, that's why it doesn't list it, but you can give it to an army HQ as well. You can also play that too, but you can't with artillery. So artillery, just the divisional artillery inherently work with the combat statistics. The combat statistics or factors are already incorporated with divisional artillery, and the theater, you can choose which to focus, which infantry HQ or division to focus your theater artillery. You can do one of those cards. You have to only focus on one for each of the theaters. So each theater is self-contained. When you give focus, now I forgot to tell you this. This focus cards, you know what I spoke about, where you focus on the AGN. That's different from the postures. I'm going to explain the postures to you. When you focus on the AGN, you ask the commander of Army Group North to focus his attention on the Panzer Grouper, which I did. Then he then adds statistics. These attack statistics go up, and the defense statistics go up, and all this type of shit. Now, the commander of that group where you gave focus to now gets cards, tactical cards, that he can play in the field to increase his division. So you can, and they cost points. You can issue orders to all divisions allowing increased tactical commander offense bonus. You can, I don't know if let me just see if that'll, Where's this one? Let's just view the card. There you get a half commander offensive bonus and half commander movement. So these cards, you can play one card. I think it's one card per this officer, per this guy. And each one of these panzer groupers that you focused on, where's it there? This one there will have the same. It's the same set of cards that you can further enhance their offensive abilities, their defensive abilities. He's got these cards. As long as he remains the focus of this command of army group south, this guy will have that. You can change the focus. You can give it to an infantry army, and then have those. And then that guy will have all these cards to choose from. And these statistics are the ones that. Oh, let me give you an idea. Oh, yeah. So that's how it would work. Now, each commander has statistics. He's rated for offense, defense, whatever he's rated for. And then he has there's his biography. He has a bonus, total combat bonus, taking into account the staff, which means his German staff, the staff that he has, because he can lose that as well. Can be below the staff complement. And all that gives, this bonus is given to your troops underneath him. If he's in command range. If the unit is no further than 5 hexes from him, he gets this bonus goes to all the units. Right? And this bonus is determined by, it gives you a whole thing. Base bonus for full complement of staff bonus because he's got full complement. Base bonus, okay, and these are his capabilities of which he gives down, which he passes down to his troops. I hope I'm explaining it. And each one of these commanders in the field has one that they pass down. They pass down to the HQs, and the HQs pass it down to their troops. All right. Now, your HQs are critically important because they have a range. You see, I've got the HQ power on there. There it is there. This entire range is all the hexes that are 5 hex. Each hex is 30 kilometers. I know I didn't mention this in the beginning because I was coming to each hex considers to be 30 kilometers. Now, this range is the range that the units must stay all these units must stay within these hexes. If they're out of that, they don't get any of these command bonuses, and they get penalties. Now, this range is also brown, blue, and green, so they get varying levels of capabilities depending on how far they are. So if they're sitting over here, they only get a 10% bonus. If they're here, they get a 20%. If they're there, they get a 40%. I hope the idea is to keep them within the green, but as they get out, they still get the bonuses, but lesser of them. If they're here, they don't get the bonus and they get penalties. So you got to watch where you move your HQs because you got to make sure that they fall within range. And they don't get supplied either. The HQ is the one that supplies them with food and petrol. So you got to make sure that. So this means you can't send the tanks too far up here because he's going to not be supplied. He's outside the range of the HQ. All right, what else did I forget? Yeah, I've explained this. This is you can just affect their reinforcements. You can have them at 50%, I think. Retreat percentage. This is great because you can set their postures and how they will fight. Okay, their supplies percentage and their replacement percentage. So you can specify, you can prioritize some units. So all of that is involved in. Yeah. If the guys now, you see the oaks when they attack, they'll attack. You can attack through there, but each, for example, if you want to attack a hex with him, you have to select that hex, and you click on to attack the land, and then you have a list of units all around that can attack. You have a stacking limit, all right? So, but you get a concentric bonus. I'm gonna show you how that thing works. You got a stacking limit, so I'll pick him. Right, now put the space bar he's in. Right, he's got a stacking limit is 41. Then I'll take this guy there and select him. And you see my concentric bonus is 4%, but my stacking limit. Then I'll take him and put him in there. So I'm adding these guys to this. You see, as you go around and you select the stacking limit, see my mouse goes up. I'm going to pick him. Right? I'm going to come back here and oh shit, I didn't. Oh, hang on. Yeah, I want to pick that. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to pick, say, that guy. See, I want to keep it under 400. Okay, so that's it. Now, that's the stacking limit. If you go over that, you get penalties because it means the amount of people that is attacking versus his stacking limit of 41 or his power limit. And I get a concentric bonus because I'm attacking from each area supplies a bonus to the things. Now, it's in your advantage to attack him with the same units. Okay, I'll just run this so you can just see. Okay, there he is. And I'll just run it. It brings up a nice graphic like this. There's your losses. There's all these losses. Tells you what happened. And you can get the contextual detail. I didn't get it yet, but he lost 4,400. I can get the detail of the fight. And I can go back to the graphic. And you'll see that he's gone now. Now, because your attack works with your movement, I can move in there. It doesn't matter what my points is because I've already paid for it. So I will say move this guy, or I can just press M and then he will move in there. And alright. Now if I highlight this, okay, there we go. If I highlight and I press move, or I press that movement, it tells me where I can go, where this tank can land up and still have the capability to attack. See, he's got 110 action points. So it just shows me where I'm. You see, I can move the tank down there, but I won't be able to attack here. But any of these hexes that I move to here, I'm able to still move him and attack him. I hope that makes sense. So that's just the combat. That's basically the combat. All right. So let me just load up my. I'm going to pause my game and just load up. I'm just going to load up the start of the campaign so you can get an idea of what I mean. Okay, I've just loaded up a new game. I've just so okay, at the beginning there's nothing, so I can give you an idea of the flow. So, for example, these are the combat statistics. 63 is the combat statistics of the simulated combat, and the 70 and the 68 of mine, right? So I'll take him. I'm just gonna so you can get an idea, and I'm gonna select this guy and maybe this guy, and I'm gonna select that guy. Okay, so that's 219, and I'm gonna attack this hex. So I'm just gonna attack in there. Okay, so there we go, and I'm gonna take these guys and move them. Right, I'm gonna move that guy. I'm gonna move this guy there. And I'm going to attack this guy. Because you want to always, when you attack and how you carve it, you want to look at where you can surround. You want to surround. Because when you surround, he loses all readiness. He got supplies for 2 days. And then after that, he loses all his readiness and all his combat power. So when you surround him, he can't get out. I'll show you the surrounds with my other game when I play it. But I'm just giving you an idea of how this thing works. I'm going to let me just select... Oh, let me just select these guys. I'm adding them with the space bar. And then that guy, yeah, well, let's just take him out. Okay. But yeah, 65, I'm going to attack that. Now, moving and attacking. See, I want to see what I'm saying. I want I want to, you see what I'm saying? I want to surround this lot. And then I want to drive up there. Now, the more bonuses you have, because the more you surround and the more concentric bonuses you have. But not only, but you need to keep. See, all these guys belong to this Panzer group of 4. See, they're highlighted white. You see, it's lit up. It's highlighted white. They all belong to the Panzer group of 4. So I'm making attacks with only those Panzer group of 4 guys that belong to that. If I were to make attacks with, say, this guy was over here and he was also attacking, I would get penalties for combining with another HQ. There would be certain penalties involved. So you want to try and attack. If I'm not mistaken, you want to try and attack, be involved in the attack with all your units from the same HQ, and not involve other units from the other HQs. I think that's how it works. I think that I'm not expert at that in terms of that, but that's the idea. So your idea is to cut this off here, right? Now your Panzer Grouper, okay, he can't move anymore. If I press M, he can only go up and whatever. So I'll keep him there. Now we're starting. Now what the Soviet player is trying to do is move these guys out. He doesn't want to be caught in his encirclements, but the thing is, he's got activation penalties. So he rolls a die. So some of his troops activate, some don't. So this group might not activate. Then he's got to leave it for one turn. You understand the problems with the Soviets? But later in the war, they get more troops and they get better qualified troops. That's where so the Germans are strong in the beginning, and then it evens out towards the end of this Operation Barbarossa, where they kind of evened out. But the Germans are strong in the beginning. The Soviets have numbers to burn, so they can lose whole armies and still survive. But you want to reduce this amount of armies as much as possible, so that at the later turns, when you get down to January, you want to be able to have him depleted. Now this is very hard to do. So he's wanting to move this out of this pocket, but he might not be activated. Are you seeing the nuances? You want to always attack from different sides. All right. You might have a 68 and he might have a 68, but remember, he's got a minus 25% defense penalty and a plus 15 defense. So he defends with minus 25. You attack with plus 50. Your combat strengths might be the same, but because you're in blitzkrieg motive, you have better combat statistics. You have, I just forgot to mention one thing. You have postures that you can change. You have the blitzkrieg posture, which is active for everybody. You can change to a sustained posture, which gives a small attack penalty and a small defense penalty, a small attack benefit. And then you can move to defensive, which is basically like this, where actually, it's not like that. It gives you an offensive penalty and a defensive bonus, right? Now you can change these, but here's again the thing: he won't be happy about it, and some of these guys won't be happy about it. So but at certain times in the war, in certain places, you've got to change to defensive and to attack and whatever, and it takes a whole turn. I think it's a whole turn or 2 turns for you to do that, which means your troops have to stand down and be vulnerable at that turn. Another thing is the rest and refit. As you fight with the blitzkrieg penalty, you gain fatigue. Your troops gain fatigue. So it comes to a stage, you can only push these guys so far, because there comes to a stage in this attack on Russia where your troops need replacements and need to replenish their fuel, and their readiness is very low, because it slowly grades on your readiness. It brings it down. So then you've got to rest and refit. Now that takes about a turn to do. In that turn, your army battalions, all your regiments and your divisions are vulnerable. They get attack penalties and defensive penalties when they're in rest and refit. So you've got to plan that carefully. You've got to plan that carefully and move them down, maybe in the rear, and rest them there. And that's a whole turn that they take to rest. Same with the fuel. If you're moving when you get a chance to move your fuel base, right? You're moving your fuel base. Okay, I'm going to move it up to Canas, right? I'm going to move my forward base up to Canas, and I'm going to have the trains coming, and then I'm going to distribute the truck. To move the base from here to here is downtime. Downtime. So you don't get any fuel or supplies during that turn. It's a whole turn. I think it's a turn or 2 turns where there's no fuel and supplies given to your troops because it's downtime to move from here to there. So you've got to take all of that into account. You understand? But it's the right decisions to make. It's the right decisions to have you make. You understand? It's the correct decisions it's the right decisions in a war game that you're making. You're not making arbitrary decisions. I just want to show you a pocket first. I'm going to pause the game, just load up one of my games for the pocket. Okay, I'm here. So let me just see I'm recording. Yeah, I'm recording. Oh, that's glad I went to have a look at it where I'm recording. Also, your finish side. Sorry. You have what if decisions. I don't think they're here because I've played it and I forgot about the finish. The finish also have, there's their boundary. You can fight these Russians up to their boundary here. And you can't go over that. Others, you get a whole lot of combat penalties. The finish side of the war is also simulated here. And there's a what if decisions and stuff that influence the Finnish entry into the war, which means the Finnish there are certain decisions that come up which influence whether the Finns can actually attack past this line, because the Finns weren't they kind of weren't the Axis, the Germans' allies. They weren't the allies, but they fought with the Germans. There was a murky relationship. And there was the historical line that they owned before the Soviets took it. So you are allowed in this game to fight up to that line, and you can fight over it, but you got to remember that there'll be huge penalties. There's lots of penalties if you decide to fight over it. So there are decisions which allow you to. There are percentages. It's based on percentages, but there are decisions which allow you to go over this, to go through without penalties. And there isn't events that do happen which release the Finns as well. So there's your Finns. That's your. I forgot about this war. I was playing down here, and of course you've got also your Southern Front, which includes the Romanians and the 11th Army, which was the German army. Now the Romanians are not. They don't have any. Let me just give you an idea. They've got the 50% and the 25%, but they're lucky to have that because their statistics aren't as good. Let me just. I hate this bloody. I don't know why it. No, sorry. Yeah. Oh, this is what I want. It doesn't save it, man. I don't know why it doesn't save it, because this is way better than the. But this then, these are Finns, and you can see their combat statistics because they're in Blitzkrieg, all right. But they also have, you see, I gave them artillery support, the 11th Army. See there, these little icons tell you the status of the thing, and then anytime you can get a report from the division or the HQ. These are helper cards. These affect your decisions. They affect your victory points. You can ask for more trucks. So if you press it once, you can make an emergency request from the Führer to extra 20 truck columns. If you press it once, nothing happens. If I press it again, this event does happen. What it does, it gives you extra 20 trucks. It's a helper. It's not a cheat, because it affects your victory conditions, conditions, which I must explain to you now how that works. All right, so they're not active on the first turn, but you can, via decision, what if decision, make them active. And there you've got your Romanians and your Germans down there as well. Now, the victory, which is the most important thing I need to explain. There we go. All for Leningrad, Moscow, and Riga are your victory objectives in the game. The game's 52 rounds or 52 turns, and you've got to conquer one of them. You choose your objective in the beginning. Like I chose Moscow. Where's it now? Where is it? Not Slomensky. I chose Moscow. Now, if I take Moscow, the Soviets choose, when they start, they choose a city that they're going to defend to the death for. So they also get to choose the city they'll defend. If I choose Moscow and I take Moscow, and I don't take Leningrad, if the Soviets chose Leningrad to defend, and I take Moscow, but I don't take Leningrad, I win a minor victory. I think that's how it works. If I take both, I win a major victory, and if I take neither, it's a loss. So basically that's how it works. He gets an objective to hold it at all costs. You don't know what it is, and you get. If you take your one but you don't take his, you get a minor victory. If you take both yours and his, you get a major victory. If you don't take any of them, you get a loss. Now you also get on top of that. That's if you take all the three objectives before the game ends. The Riga, Moscow, and Leningrad, you win the game, sudden death. Now, each city is you see these red buttons on the city. You see these are minor cities. They're worth, I think, 1 point. Major cities with the reds are worth 5 points, I think. 5. And your objective cities, your Moscow and Leningrad are worth 10. So every time, if you look at the score, see the Soviet score is 141. This is the difficult level, the Soviet score. So he's winning the fight because he owns all the cities. And as you take the cities, as you take these cities, these 1-pointers and these objective cities, and you take them and you control them, you get those points added. And then it comes at the, see, it tells you, yeah, you get those points, you add up those points, and then he loses those points. So zero-sum game. He then loses those points that he owns. And at the end of the day, at the end of the campaign, they then add up all the victory points, and they halve the Germans, and then they compare them to the Russians, and you win on that. Okay, that's simplified. I think I kind of covered it. It might not be 100%, but that's really what it is. That's how the objectives work. That's the victory objectives. So what you want to do is, obviously, you want to destroy as many Soviet forces that he has in the beginning of the force, because you're strong in the beginning. You're strong in the beginning, but you're weak at the end. You understand? Weaker. So you want to, with all your combat bonuses and everything, take as much advantage while he's weak in the beginning to clear him out, because he gets an unlimited amount of supplies. I'm telling you, he gets that 30 divisions from the Siberians come. He gets a whole lot of the Soviets are unlimited in their replies, in their things. So they get an unlimited amount, and they get better. They get better. They start to fight better. So in the beginning, you are strong. You really want to do what the Germans were planning to do, was to try and topple Russia in 5 days, or 5 weeks or so, or 8 weeks. You want to do it. You want to do it as a quick campaign. You don't want to. But what the Germans failed to understand is they thought if they went through France, and they went through France like a hot knife through butter. But they equated, we can do that to Russia. But they didn't realize that France fits in here, basically, round about here. This is the size of France. This is the size of Poland. This is Russia. The poor little Germans didn't figure out that that's Russia, right? That's Russia. It's an enormous country. It's like 100 times bigger than France. And the further you go into Russia, your logistic lines are lengthened, and the longer your logistic lines are, the more inefficient they are. And then the Russian winter, so you got to give it to the Germans. They gave it a good fight. I mean, considering the fact that, just to get to Moscow is like 3 Frances. They got pretty far. They got almost close to Moscow. To get to here, they've got to go with all that, and they've got to cover this whole, and to get to Riga down here at the bottom, Rostov here. Just Rostov, we had to get to. It's Rostov, right? To get there is enormous. They didn't realize how enormous the thing is. So the Germans, considering their ignorance, they thought they could get France. They thought, they could beat France. They didn't realize you can't knock out the Russians in 10 weeks or 50 or 3-4 months or a month or 2. You can't do it. But hallelujah, kudos to the Germans. They gave it they got, and they got damn far. They got further than probably any army would have got. They really did. I mean, they accomplished a great thing. They went for it. They swung everything at this. But it just wasn't enough. They didn't have enough troops. The logistic lines were too long. The partisan effects behind their lines, everything just, it, you know, even if they took Moscow, it's doubtful whether they would have still won the thing, because the army lines are constricted here. This is this area of 5 million men of Germans. But then you spread this out now. Look how wide you've got to look at the arc down here. Look how your food your little troops here that are constrained to these little entry points will have to spread out. I mean, it was in case blue, where they went down to Baku to get the oil and they fought to Stalingrad. There were places in the German defense that were like 100 kilometers apart before you found another division. A division had to cover like 100 kilometers of ground. You didn't have the manpower for that. The Germans didn't have it. They didn't have the manpower. Yeah, the Soviets could just bring divisions and out of thin air. So here's the challenge for Barbarossa: is to try and win the war by the end of January. It's 52 turns, and get your objectives that you specify, or win on points. If you can do that, you've done a big thing, because this army is good now, but the Russians get better later on, and they get more of what they have. Now, I just wanted to show you the pockets, right? I've created a pocket here. You see that? I've got this whole lot in a pocket. Now, the first turn they'll be right, but by the second turn they'll be all without supplies and fuel. And I've surrounded them here, so I've cut them off. They're out of supply. They can't. So I did that with my panzers. And I did this with my panzers. I'm about to create a pocket. You see there's my, what is that? This is the first Panzer Grouper for South, Army Group South. So I'm covering it with my HQ. So there's all my. I'm trying to keep. The key is to try to keep all your divisions in one place. Don't just send them out. We keep your divisions together, your armies together. So I've just tried to keep them, and I've driven down here with my panzer as far as I could in the first turn. I'm just here. Now, what he's going to do is, if he gets it activated, he's going to try and move these troops out of here, because when I close that pocket, he's done. And then I'll just squeeze the pocket with the infantry here. Just exactly the blitzkrieg tactics. That's the fun of it. Is get these blitzkrieg tactics, and the game teaches you how to do it. A game is designed for the blitzkrieg tactics and all that type of stuff. I think I've covered everything. I just want to. I think it's over. I think I've got. There's your mini map. You've also got a S map here where you can get the towns. You can highlight and go straight to the towns. Let me just click on there. You've got your show HQs. We can show all the HQs on there. You've got your cards. I explained the artillery, the Luftwaffe, the rest and refit when I spoke to you about that earlier. All your decisions each turn that you get, plus all your reports, explain how your armies, what shape they're in, all this type of stuff. Then you got your reconnaissance. 40, depending on how much recon you've got. That's like it says here, 40 points to spot a unit. So he's spotted, so he's about 40 points. And it tells you 16 points, so it's not spotted at all. But you'll see 87 points. And 300 points for full information on you. The zones of control I'll explain now. Your AP. Okay. Is that the AP that's left? Okay, what is the AP? I can't... Oh, AP cost to move into X. Okay, I understand that. Your stacking, your stack points, and then your victory points, like I told you, when you take a town. Now, another thing important, this is the same, for it's a turn-based, normal World War strategy game where you've got all the units in the game exert zone of control. So each unit like this one and this one exerts a zone of control, and it costs you movement points to go in there, extra movement points. So what you want to do is drive the zone of control away, because you can then move more freely in the territory. And also just moving into enemy territory also costs extra points, because it's you moving in first time into that. And your stacking points also, when you fight a battle, like if I fight this battle here, depending how long the battle lasts, there's stacking points. Well, not stacking points. What do they call it? battle points, which means when you have a fight, when you're in an area and you fight and you do have a battle, there's all stuff that gets destroyed and lies all over the place. The tanks are burning in the streets and whatever. So it's harder to move through there, through a battlefield. Right. So that's what it is. Battle points or stacking points or whatever. So your let me just, well, I don't have any now. These are just zone of control points, I think. But the stacking points, you'll get that if I fight this battle, and there's stacking points and the battle points, and that inhibits my movement in there. If you don't attack, if you don't, and also your stack points are also accounted for. If you don't take this, you attack there and you don't take it, the battle points and the stack points add up. They because of all the equipment that's destroyed and whatever. To attack it again, it's going to cost you more stacking points. That's added to your future. I hope I'm explaining it. It's just a mechanic that they put in, which is it's super realistic. It's great. It's battlefield tactics. That's what happens to. And then you've got your regular stuff like your tanks attacking in forests. I've got penalties. You see up here, you can see the movement. If you highlight on here, here's the thing which tells you what it is. It's forest. This terrain over here is forest. And the movement type, the attack into the forest for infantry, light tanks, medium tanks are 50%. You lose that. It's only 50% attack power. It's 100% for infantry. And the movement costs to move in there. You're with me. Attacking across rivers costs points. Yeah, and then it's got how much to move in, how much, where, what the landscape is, the temperature. At any time you can, and the cover, how much defense cover you get from that, and also what I love about you can change your postures, posture when to retreat. If you want to hold desperately, you'd make that 100%. You can, yeah, there it is, 100% retreat, or you can have it 75%. So that just governs the posture of attack before he retreats, or of defense of that. So I hope I'm just the standard in all basic all, and then your HQs obviously convert. The HQ converts his bonuses onto his troops whether they're within range. He's also got his staff. If his staff drops, his staff complement drops below a certain level, you suffer a bonus over here. Your staff, if it's below, you will suffer penalty there. And then just the details of the unit. I think I covered everything. I think I've spoken enough, and I'm sure I've missed stuff out. I first started this video with trying to be as comprehensive. I wrote down that I wanted to talk about the operation command. I wanted to talk about combat, logistics, how the units all affect. And I tried to keep it in that format. I know I switched around a lot. But I'm sure that I've left stuff out. And I'll probably be kicking myself because it's important stuff. Then you've got the diary. Okay, he's in the 78th Infantry Division. And he's this guy's diary. I think he's here somewhere. What is he? Where is he now? Is the 4th Army HQ. So where's the 4th Army? This is the 9th. This is the 6th. I think this is the 4th. I'm not. And that's the 17th. I gotta find the 4th. I just wanted to show you. That's the 9th. This is the 4th. Okay. I just want to see where he is here. He's in the 4th Army. I think he's here. Let me just change this. Let's make it change that. You see, it says a little red H, man, but oh, there he is. There he is. See this, yeah. Yeah, you see this big H here. This guy, this is just for flavor, man. It's great, right? This guy's in there. He has a diary. He writes his findings and how he is in the war. And he is in this division over here. He's in the 78th Infantry Division. He can die. You know, as the war goes, he writes about what he sees and how the war's going for him and all this stuff. It's like extra flavor, man. It's like awesome. Really, really good. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm just going to pause just to show you how the turn ends and what the flow of the fighting is. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to I don't know why it always defaults to this. I wish it would just be. Yeah, I like it. I don't like the. I don't like the NATO symbols. I hate NATO symbols. It's so archaic. But I prefer, as you can see, it's infantry, and this is a tanks division, and this is infantry. And I prefer it that way. Okay, I'm going to end the turn just so you see how the flow is. I've made all my decisions. But this is one of the games I was playing earlier. So we'll end the turn, and just to show you how the game, how it flows, and how the game shows you the. Okay, so it does all the rounds, and it'll be about a few minutes. Just and the AI, because I made it. You can choose the different AI levels. You can choose them on slower or normal. Slower means it takes more time to think. So just as this goes, and then he does this initialization. This part is not long, but he plays through all his moves, just so you can see. Like a video recorder, he shows you, like here, he shows you how he's moving. It's like a separate thing. And you can see where, and you can also replay this and look at all your mistakes, which is brilliant. See, he's moving over there. So yeah, that's it. Then you can this is basic, and you can move around here. You can move around and look at the different troops. He's moving his guys over there. He's moving up here. Yeah, I think it'll end. I think it's gonna end now. I picked a slower movement, so it just shows you where he's moving, how he's moving his troops back. Oh, that's pretty smart in the game. He fights intelligently. He knows he can't leave divisions here. He wants to move them out of the pocket, all that type of stuff. I'm going to just pause it to take you to the end. This could take a few more minutes, but I'll pause it just to get to the end. Okay, so that's the start of the next turn. All these moves were made, and then you get this diary. It's brilliant, eh? And you can look at the history. Where's the history? Yeah, you can look at the history and play it step by step what he was doing. You could go through it all again. And then it shows you he had a fight over there. This unit fought over there, and what I stood firm. That division, and then just and you can play it non-stop, or you can next battle, go to the next battle, next regime, that sort of thing. So you can go through your moves again and what he did. That's it. That's it. Yeah, I think I've been 2 hours now. It's probably one of the longest I've spent on a overview because it's such a great game, such a fine game. I can't say enough about it. I really can't. I've said what I can, and I stand by it. It's such a great game, and you can see all the reviews on Steam. This is like nines and tens, very positive. It's such a great game. I mean, as I said, I wish more wargamers would take this as an example to realize that war is not about machines and machine guns and whatever and all that. It's about human relationships. Because nothing can happen without all these guys being involved and the troops involved. I wish somebody would take the human element like that and read this. And I mean, it doesn't seem like it. The guys are still making games like where you got War in the East 2, which is a great game. Don't get me wrong. I'm not running it down. I love that type of fidelity, but they're just playing those. They're just making those types of games, and they're forgetting about the extent of the human part of operational command. And operational command is about this. This is about putting your shoes, simulating being in charge of an army. This is what it's like, not just moving troops around and whatever. I hope I'm getting it through to you, and I hope Vic would make more of these, because this is the only one I found. I can't say enough about this game. It's a great game. And it'll turn into a classic. It's really that great. People overlook how great this game is and how realistic it is in terms of that. It's a complete simulation of the Second World War. And this is I wish he would make the whole war. I wish he'd make something like War in the East 2, where he makes the whole conflict to 45. I'd love it if he simulated like this. Love it to bits. He just did the Barbarossa one. It's a pity. And then the Ardennes one is back to the tactics and stuff. It is bits and pieces of it that does. He's using this type of formula on all his games, but not in depth like this game. This game is very different. I love it to bits. All right, I think that's it. I've done almost 2 hours. There's 42 turns, 52 turns. You got to get to the end of January. I'm sure I've missed stuff out. Here, the buttons, you can just change them and look around. You can take off the things. You can look at the bigger or smaller. You can look at the fuel. See, as the fuel green is good. And you've got the score. Yeah, that's there. You can the Panzer Grouper. These symbols represent what the fuel price was. If it's up, it means good lift, good support. If the ammo's up, he's got great ammo. If it's in the middle, it's just average. He's got enough ammo. If it's down, he's down on the ammo. He's got too little ammo. These arrows just show you that, and then you can see his like how many percentage tanks he's got, and armored cars he's got, and then your relationships, and yeah, and each one of these guys got a bio as well. Let me put it there. Okay, so each one comes with a big bio on them as well. I love it. Really, really good game. And I haven't said this about a war game, this type of war game, in a long, long time. I mean, it's really that good. And the reviews that testify to it. Yeah, I think I covered everything. I've left stuff out. I know I have. It's such a great game. And go buy it. It's worth every penny. I got it on special for 120 Rand. You know, they were having one of those Steam specials. They're now 330. So it's steep. It's a steep war game. It's quite costly. It's not a cheap war game, but it's worth every penny. Every single penny. This guy doesn't get enough credit. And if you look at his design decisions, it's like almost half the manual. Love it to bits. All right, Sean from Combat Simulations. Please subscribe to my channel. It's free. And also leave comments and suggestions, and watch my videos and like my videos and watch them and like them again. Helps a lot. All right, until our next overview and tutorial, good day on you.